Hey guys, we're live on the moon. It's Saturday evening, 10:52 p.m., the 17th of August, 2013. And I hope you and your family and your kids and your grandma and your grandpa and your mother and your father, everybody's having a good time. I'm starting this out for a particular reason. I'm starting it out at Aristarchus crater. Aristarchus is just below the middle, kind of like at 6 o'clock, that large crater. And I'm hoping to get a picture of Schroeder's Ridge at the end of this broadcast. So, and I can also demonstrate the shadow line and how it works. The shadow line's creeping to the left, and Schroeder's Ridge is kind of to the left of that. We might get to see it. Let me zoom in uh, on this. I know it's been a while. I've had some bit like yesterday. It was lightning and thundering. I mean, okay, Eris Stickus is on the kind of the mid left. That crater that's kind of submerged to the 230 from Eris Stickus is called Prince, Prinz. And what's remarkable about this picture, let me see if I can focus it just a little bit better. See those just north of, just at the 12 o'clock of Aristarchus is kind of like a mountain range. And you can see two craters on a mountain that looks like an arrowhead. Well, the one on the right on that arrowhead is called Valsia crater. Let me zoom in just a little bit more. You can see those little white dots. That's when I get this close on that's driver problems. I wish I could resolve those, but I haven't been able to figure it out. Okay, I'm going to put everything back on automatic. See how it kind of, and let's just kind of do a survey of the moon. I hope you guys have been doing pretty good. This is one of my favorite spots on the moon. The Sea of Rainbows. First of all, let me explain what we're looking at here. The mountain range to the kind of, it's going from 6 o'clock to 2 o'clock. It's called the Jora, Montes Jora, the Jora Mountains. And that kind of sea object, I used to call this coastlands because if you look closely at this area, you'll see it kind of as it goes into the to the Sea of Rainbows. See how it turns into a blue, like it's deeper? And I think that's exactly what it is, which is a neat thing about color. When you're looking at this thing in color, you can see the textures and the variations of the color, and you can see how it moves and changes, and the subtleties are all there. Well, if you look at that sea, that's a better, isn't that a beautiful, pause to refresh. Isn't that a beautiful shot, guys? I mean, that makes my day. Okay, let's center that that sea, and let's turn up the brightness. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. At the base of the sea is called Promontorium Herculides. And Herculides was a Greek astronomer in 388 to 310 BC. So what they do is they name these features after famous old people, dead people mostly. And if you look at the other side of the sea on the right at the kind of a 2 o'clock on that sea, it's called Promontorium Laplace. And Laplace was a Pierre Simon Laplace, famous French mathematician and astronomer from 1749 to 1827. And if you look at the crater that just popped up on the right, that one that just came into view, that's called Plato. Now let's have some fun with this. Let's see if we can go in and zoom in on Promontorium Laplace. You know what's remarkable about my visuals here? If you go to my website, www.billbryson-astronomer.com, and you look under the Clementine logbook, you'll see that the Clementine photos match perfectly in color with the color I'm showing you on my videos. The Sea of Rainbows is inside the sea there, and the big Mar is kind of like at the 6 o'clock, or we see those two craters below center. This is called Mar Iberium, and it's called the Sea of Showers. And centered, you see Promontorium Laplace. And let's just zoom in on Laplace. And you can see it kind of jumping in and out. That's just the way it is on some nights. It's the atmospherics. And just for grins, let's try to focus this. I have, by the way, a remote. I'm inside the house in air conditioning. It's fairly humid outside. And I do have a heater on my telescope. It keeps the lenses from steaming up. And it's kind of like fog. Now see that kind of centered? Let me back out just because of the that's beautiful, guys. It's beautiful. Absolutely stunning. Hey, this is high adventure. Don't you miss me? I enjoyed this. This is fun stuff. That ridge line, that kind of mountain range, it's kind of sitting right there in the middle of the Sea of Showers toward the edge, is called Montes Recti. It's called the Recti Mountains. It's Latin. Recti means straight range, like home on the range. Straight range is like straight. That's why they called it that mountain, Montes Recti. They didn't name this one off of a famous guy. They just named it off of the feature. Now I'm going to show you something that's kind of interesting if we can see it. And again, I'm going to try to do my focusing a little bit. Out of focus. In focus. That's for granted. For this one, I'm going to try to get in close to Plato if I can. And I just turned autofocus on, so it's going to jump in and out. Yeah, see, it's just can't do it tonight, guys. Some nights we can see what looks like a funnel. Let me try to manually focus it again. There's a funnel on the left at the kind of like 9 o'clock position of Plato, and I have seen it in the past, but it's too it's too difficult to retain focus. Well, that's kind of interesting. Let's just take a look at this. You know me, I'm just kind of looking around, seeing if I can see something interesting. See that crater at the 12 o'clock at the top? Let's see if I can identify that. That's called Philos crater, Philolaus crater, Philolaus. It was named for Philolaus of Croton, another Greek mathematician and astronomer and philosopher, 400 BC. Well, what's interesting, if you take a look at that crater, and just south of it, see, it kind of looks like a road going, you know, see, it's just I know it's at the edge of two craters on the right, but it does look like a weaving road going into the mountains and into the crater. Let's zoom in on that crater. By the way, I did some exploring here before, and I tried another Barlow on top. This is a 2.5 power mate Barlow that I'm using, and I tried to put another Barlow on top of that, but you can see it's just not a perfect night because of the atmospherics. And I see something interesting here. Okay, let's take a look at this crater here. This is interesting. Let me back out. See if we can get a good shot before it. I'll just leave it right there. That crater right there, that large crater, is called Carpenter Crater, and it's named for James Carpenter, a British astronomer from 1840 to 1899, and this is a double whammy, guys. Named also for Edwin Francis Carpenter, American astronomer, 1898 to 1963. Okay, now let's take a look at this. I'm just kind of leaving it to get in and out of focus here. That's called the atmospherics. Kind of when you're looking at the moon and there's hot air goes up and cold air, and they conflude in the atmosphere, and they cause wave compression, and so visually when you're optically looking at it, it kind of weaves in and out of focus. Some nights I can get really, really, really absolutely perfect imagery. First of all, the crater looks like it's got a mountain in the middle, and it's got another little crater kind of centered, and it's got little ridge lines and mountains spiking up all over the place. So it looks like it's filled up with a whole range of mountains in there, which is unusual. Usually it's kind of flat. But really, what got my eye here, on the left side of that crater, take a look at that large crater that's centered on your screen. At the 9 o'clock and at the 8:30, 8:40, there's two things sticking up in the air. Obviously, this is a alien base, and those are radio towers. Let's zoom in. I'll just leave it like that for a minute, and you can see it kind of going in and out of focus. And let me just try to turn autofocus on. Well, let me just see if it's possible. You can see those kind of, it's, instead of being totally flat, it's kind of got a range, a mountain range in there in the middle of it. But on the left side in particular, see those two brighter things sticking up in the air. Clearly, those are alien radar towers. Because it's probably an alien base on the moon, guys. Yeah, I saw something else pretty interesting right around. Let me kind of center it. Okay, centered. Let me see if I can identify these craters. The large crater just below the center is called Harpalus crater, named for Harpalus, another Greek astronomer from 460 BC, just above center. Right below Harpalus, that other crater that's kind of largy is called Focalits crater. It's not as big as Harpalus, but it's just a little bit smaller. It's right below it, right below center now. Focalits crater, named for Leon Foucault, a French physicist from 1819 to 1868. One of my favorite books is called Foucault's Pendulum. I've read that thing about 4 times. And here's a crater on the moon named for that guy. Now, what I'm interested in, there's something sticking up in the air at the 2 o'clock position from Foucault's. It's sticking up in the air. Probably another alien radar installation on the moon. It's interesting, let me back out. It gets where it jumps in and out of focus. It's because of the atmospherics. But you can see quite a bit of detail in this mountain range. Try to focus a little bit better. Okay. Let's continue to do our survey. We're doing a survey of the moon. We're kind of looking at what we can see. And we're creeping past Aristarchus, which I showed you at the very beginning. And this is another really interesting spot that I like on the moon. The crater, let me turn autofocus. Autofocus is on. I just turned it on. See how it's kicking in. I'll leave it on just like for a minute now. It'll be jumping in and out. See the crater at the 7 o'clock position. This crater is called Kepler crater, and it's named after Johannes Kepler, German astronomer, 1571 to 1630. Here's a quiz. What uh, what space telescope did they just decommit or just take out? Just broke. It was a Kepler, named after this guy, this German astronomer. Now, if you take a look at this picture at the 12 o'clock, kind of 11 o'clock, that's Aristarchus. But if you take a look at, I'll just kind of center it. Centered, that smaller crater with an offset crater to it. That smaller crater, not the offset, not the one at it's kind of perfectly centered. It's called T. Mayer crater. It's named for Tobias Mayer, a German astronomer from 1723 to 1762. Guys, you're getting so smart. You watch my videos, and all you do is get smart, moon smart. Of course, the large crater right there at the bottom, kind of at the 530 position, is called Copernicus crater, and it's named after Nicholas Copernicus, Polish astronomer, 1473 to 1543. Now, what's interesting about this image, if you take a look just north of Copernicus, you see that mountain range. And see how it kind of goes from the 9 o'clock and then kind of sweeps down to the 4. It's kind of an arc. This is actually the beginning of the Alps. But right here, it's called Montes Carpathus. And these are the Carpathus Mountains, and it's named from terrestrial Carpathians, whatever they are. What I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go. Now that was a bug you just saw. That wasn't a UFO. That was a bug. And you'll see the Alps. It's hard to see the it's hard to see the peaks because you don't have the shadow line working for you. But centered right now is just below center. That little crater is called Eratosthenes, and it's kind of the spine base of the spine of the Alps, named for Eratosthenes, a Greek astronomer and geographer, 276 to 196 BC. And then you can see the Alps, Montes Alps, kind of sweeping from Eratosthenes up at an angle. And we're not going to go up there. We're going to stick to the features of the shadow line because they're more detailed. Okay. The see that kind of range of mountains, kind of shaped like a bottom, like a C upside down, or bottom up, bottomed out. That mountain range is called Ramey Mastillon. So that's the Mastillon Mountains. And I'm going to center it. It's a crater that's half underwater. Kind of centered. That large crater, which is half underwater, is called Latrone Crater, named for Jean Antoine Latrone, French astronomer, 1787 to 1848. And see the mountain range below. That mountain range is called the Ramey Marcinius Mountains. This is one of my favorite areas as well here on the moon. Probably one of the first things that I noticed on the moon was Gassendi crater. And I thought for sure that there's got to be an alien base in this area because I saw structures. And let's go in close. Gassendi is that large crater with that pile of rocks in the center. Somebody was asking me how do you get a pile of rocks and it's all flat around? Well, the best way to envision it is if you go to a still pond and throw a rock in the pond, and you'll notice when you do, there's ripples will go out from the rock and waves, and then the middle where the rock hit the water will kind of rise up. And that's exactly how these features were made. But if you take a look at this crater, Gassendi crater, and it's named for Pierre Gassendi, French astronomer, mathematician, 1592 to 1655. And getting out of focus again. Let me do the focus again. And if you look to the left of Gassendi, and it looks like a ramp. It's kind of a strange feature, but it looks to me like a ramp. And also, if you look at 6 o'clock, see how it's kind of underwater? It's kind of under the lava. And let's go to the left of Gassendi and just look. I'm going to leave it real close here, because I know it gets in and out of focus and it's hard to see, but you can see more, even though. And I'm going to turn up the brightness right here. See how when I did it kind of and look at all those those features, and see those rivers, and those yellow things are not part of the image. It's just something I have to live with. Hopefully not forever, but for right now. Okay. Let's back out a little bit to where we can get it clear. Actually, this is some of the most stunning astrophotography, astrovideo you're going to see. I've had quite a bit of pleasing results. Okay, that crater that's kind of below center is called Doppelmayr crater. And if you watch the movie Celestial, Jose Escamilla featured Doppelmayr with some close-ups from Clementine, and there is a base right in the center of this crater, an alien base on the moon. Doppelmayr was named for Johann Gabriel Doppelmayr, German mathematician, astronomer, 1671 to 1750. Okay, I'm running out of. I like to keep my videos at about 30 minutes, so I'm going to cut this off here. But I want to continue down. That's some remarkable imagery. And centered is Clavis. Again, a UFO hotspot on the moon, named after Christopher Clavis, German mathematician, 1537 to 1612. And just for grins, we're going to zoom in on Clavis. Not bad, just about filling up the whole screen. And Tycho centered. Okay, I'm going to now go back to Aristarchus, and let's just see how far the shadow line did move. It was moving. Isn't this great video? And look at that mountain range, just kind of from Gassendi, kind of going down from 9 o'clock down. It's really a lot of good detail. Before I go, let's that crater right there off center is called Marius crater, and it's named for Simon Mayer, German astronomer, 1573 to 1624. And that mountain range there, this is, I think, the area what they call the White Cities. If you go in and look up on Google and look for the White Cities, he swore up and down and that that was an alien city on the moon back in the early 1900s. And now let's bring the color up a little bit. Okay, and let's zoom in on this. But we can't see too much difference. If I get out tomorrow, you'll see Schroeder's Valley. And I think I'll finish it off just right up here, because this is always a really stunning shot. Okay, guys, that's it. Hope you have a good weekend, good week to come. Wishing you and yours clear skies, guys.